Welcome to Growth Hacking Show. I'm your host, Muhammad Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia. And on this episode, we have a very special guest, Ray Drew. He is the host of the Art of SBA Lending Podcast. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Ray Drew. Ray, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Ray, let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to get into SBA lending?
Well, good question. I kind of fell into it. I was studying at the University of Central Florida. I was studying marketing. I took an internship with a company that happened to be an SBA lender. So I got into it that way. Haven't looked back since. I've been doing it for 10 years. I've fallen in love with it. And it's really my only skill in life at this point.
10 years? You feel like you just came out of college right now. And that's a credit to you, by the way. This is how you're keeping up yourself, So in 10 years...
Thank you.
So in 10 years doing SBA lending, in SBA lending in 10 years, you probably learned a lot. So we are going to extract some good wisdom from you. So what are the top 3 missteps to avoid when someone go through SBA lending for their business?
Right. So I would say this. So an SBA loan, at least the ones I do, which range from like about $500,000 to $5 million, often a small business owner may only be seeking one of these in their whole entire small business career, whether it's to buy a building, buy out your partner. So it's not something they do often, typically. So there's a lot of lack of knowledge with just understanding the process, what it is. So I do a lot of educating out there in the marketplace just so that small business owners can better understand the process. And now that, with the internet and YouTube and podcasts and everything, there's a lot of ways to go get that information. So I would say, number 1, educate yourself. Number 2, know that the SBA loan is primarily based on cash flow from your tax returns. So if you're looking for capital to expand, or you're selling your business and you need a buyer to be able to qualify for an SBA loan, number 2, and not all small business owners do this, but report your expenses and revenue and profits accurately. Show really what the business is doing so that you can qualify for a loan. And then number 3, I would say number 3 is use an expert or a specialist. SBA lending is complicated, and a lot of banks do it. Not all of them do it well. So put that priority higher than anything, more than interest rate, more than down payment. Make sure you're using an expert and a specialist. Otherwise, it may never close.
May never close. That's the key, especially in this time. Banks are like a very, very tricky right now to deal with. No, that's a great. Is there one type of SBA loan, or there's multiple types of SBA loans?
There's multiple types of SBA loans, but the flagship program by far is called the 7A. They actually just passed some stimulus for it in late December, which is it's meant to spur the economy and create jobs. And it's actually one of the best kept secrets right now. And I think small business owners really are going to want to take advantage of this basically free government money. And that's something I'm looking forward to getting more out into the marketplace so that folks know how to take advantage of that.
While we are on this podcast right now, so why not give us like a 3-minute version of that one highlight, so that probably maybe create some interest for someone who is watching this, right?
Yeah, for sure. So there's 3 main enhancements to the program that are some of the biggest enhancements ever before. And this program's been around for decades. But the big number 1 is basically, with this program, lenders like myself, we lend the money. The SBA merely provides a guarantee. So you're going through a private entity to get the money. SBA guarantees. That guarantee percentage normally is 75%. The legislation, and I have to preface this by saying the SBA still needs to provide lenders with that final guidance. So the legislation's been passed, but the caveat is it's not final until it's final. So we're expecting that guidance in the next couple of days and weeks. But right now, as it stands, the legislation says that guarantee is going to be increased from 75 to 90%, which will allow lenders to make loans that they may have otherwise thought of as outside their risk profile. So it should create more lending. That's one. Two is the fee involved in the SBA loan. It's called the guarantee fee. It's equal to a percentage of the guaranteed portion. It's basically one of the main fees of the program. It's being waived completely. And this is all for loans approved between February and September 30th of this year. And then, so that fee is being waived, which, on $1 million loan, that's basically 26 grand. On a $5 million loan, it's like 140 grand. So the third one is basically that the SBA will cover your first 6 loan payments for you up to 9 grand a month. So if you're sitting on the sidelines right now, maybe in corporate America, maybe not, but you want to maybe start a franchise or buy an existing business or buy a building for your business, and you want to borrow, let's say, $1 million. Well, those incentives on $1 million loan add up to about 80 grand of basically free money. So now is the time. That's what it's meant to do. Pull people off the sidelines and pull the trigger on that next investment that you're thinking of.
Oh, that's a great, that's an amazing thing. Regarding the first 6 months of payments, is that they roll up into the loan the delayed payments, or are they actually paid? They reduce the payments, by then?
Paid. No, it's not deferred. It's actually paid.
Oh, see, I'm glad I have you on this show. So I learned right basics. So this is about inventory financing, equipment financing, or like or it have to be new business only, or you can even do it with your existing business as well.
You can do it with your existing business. You can refinance your business debt and get some more working capital to expand, create a new product line. It's actually a really flexible program that you can do a lot of different things with. And you can combine some of these different uses together. Like you can buy a building, get equipment, get inventory, and get working capital to hire people to fill out that extra space. That's one of the big things I see this program being used for here in 2021.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk about the podcast. You are the host of the Art of SBA Lending podcast. So tell us why someone should need to listen to that podcast.
Okay, yeah, it's actually a really niche podcast. So like I said earlier, I fell into this industry, but I fell in love with it. And I feel so lucky to be, welcomed into this industry. I'm also the chair of our trade organization here in Florida. And I'm always just about giving back. So this podcast is actually for my competitors, other SBA lenders who want to better themselves like I do every year. And I just give some of my best practices out to those folks. And I do some interviews here and there, but and I want to do more of them this year. But it's really just been like little 8-minute kind of bursts of information on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. So you are like, if someone wants to be guest on your podcast, who is your ideal guest?
It's really folks within the small business lending industry. So we have chief credit officers of SBA lenders, sales managers, CEOs of banks that are big into SBA lending. Those would be my ideal guests for this podcast.
Wonderful. If someone want to look at your get about is that fundexsolutions.com? That's how they want to reach you and apply it for the SBA lending and inquire further.
Yeah, they can actually email me. They can go to the website. They can find my contact information there. My picture and everything is there. My email is also on the website. It's rdrew, RDREW at fundexsolutions.com.
Mm-hmm. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rdrew. So let's do it real time so people know it's live. You said it and I typed it right away. So
perfect. That's how you do it right there. Perfect.
Yeah. Many people think, oh, this is coming as a recorded video. No, you just said it. I typed it right away. So it's not recorded. It's live, So.
Yeah, now they know.
Yeah, definitely. Any bonus nuggets you want to share with business owners who are looking for funding, especially we are living in a very interesting times right now, and people are thinking how I can actually expand my business and how I can keep my business open. There's so many challenges people have. Their revenues are down, and not in all cases, in most of the cases. So even their cash flow is down right now. Still, they can qualify for the funding.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy, and it's state by state. You see different types of impact. And I'm here in Florida, so a lot of the businesses have bounced back very strongly. But when I see some of these businesses still closed in California, there's not much I can do. So there's if you're not open and you're not generating cash flow, this program is probably going to be tough. You're probably going to want to look more into the PPP and EIDL loans. And if you're doing very well, this program is great. It's just rocket fuel to take you off. But then there's in that middle where they were impacted by COVID in 2020, but then they are on the trajectory coming back. And as a non-bank lender, I have the flexibility to really dig into that year and understand those trends. And a lot of those we can make work.
Mm-hmm. So you're non-bank lending. So you're backed by the private investors?
We have a parent company who's a privately owned company. Okay. And they're 49% owned by a bank. So we're just we have a very strong, well-capitalized parent company. And so that's basically how we fund these loans.
Someone compare your company with directly going with the bank. What's the difference for someone? Because most of the banks, they can walk into that, hey, I want to apply for SBA lending. Because what's the difference? Why someone will go with Ray Drew or Fund Solutions versus going to the bank?
Right. Well, we're going to need to do a whole nother episode on that. But basically, our company, is created specifically to provide these SBA 7A loans. That's all Fundex does. So if you do one thing and you're not tied with banking relationships, of course, you're going to be able to do it faster, more efficiently, have more flexibility, and become a deal maker, basically. And that's why most of our clients come to us.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Because you are based in Florida, so how many states you cover?
All 50. Yeah, I just got the green light on a deal in Alaska. So,
So that probably gives you a tax write-off to visit your clients all over the US. You do.
Right.
Yeah. Very good. So as we are about to wrap up, I always like to ask this question to my guests. And here's my question. What would you say to your best friend about a growth hacking show when I'm not there?
Well, I would say that you should definitely check it out. I listened to a couple of the interviews, and there's some guests that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I would highly encourage it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. As we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word?
My final word is, if you have some cash sitting on the sidelines, now is the time to consider buying an existing business or investing maybe in a franchise or something like that. This is the year, I think, that a lot of those investments will happen. So start early, because the deadline is going to be very quickly to capitalize on those new enhancements to the program.
Thank you so much, Ray Drew, and the host of the Art of SBA Lending podcast. And on the behalf of Growth Hacking Show and our entire community, we really appreciate you. This is Muhammad Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. All best wishes.
Thank you.